Hi everyone, my name is Josh. I'll be talking about one of our course themes, religion, especially the religion in early American literature. I've read an article, Religion and Geopolitics in the New World by Elizabeth Dillon. So religion as a social framework rather than a creed. We have a picture here, a picture of a church steeple, which was one of the highest and most noticeable man-made structure in early 1600s and 1700s in any town you go. And we also have a picture of a Puritans praying in the Thanksgiving, and this is a article depiction of what would have happened. So you see the Christian influence clearly, a religious influence clearly in the art as well. So religion was not so much a matter of choice, but rather a matter of society. What I mean by that is nowadays we think of religion as more of a matter of choice, individual choice. People have choice to be a Christian or to be a Muslim or to be a Buddhist. People so much very much has a choice when you choose a religion, and we see religion as such. We don't see religion as how the Puritans looked at 1600s and 1700s. When 1600s and 1700s, the religion was very much a requirement rather than a choice. A religion was very much a matter of society. So people were born into religion rather than they were converted into religion. So when we read a lot of works by the 1600s and 1700s Americans, we have to keep in mind that this was in play. The people were educated, people were brought up in Christian ways with a religion very much a backbone of the society. And also, people could not think of any alternatives to life outside of religion. Everything that you did back in 1600s and 1700s America required or expected you to be a Christian. All your neighbors were Christians. Even when you go to the marketplace, the people there are Christians. Even the whole nation, whole continent of Europe was a Christian a nation, a Christian continent. So you really couldn't think about any other ways to live other than a Christian life. So you see that religion was very much a political and economic and social institution rather than just the religions that as we think today. Religion that we think today is very much separated from our social life, our political life, and our jobs. But back in the 1600s and 1700s America, the religion was very much the core part of all these activities that you did. So in the article, Miss Elizabeth Dillon talks about the geopolitics. So you see the map of the Europe back in 1600s. You see the Holy Roman Empire, you see the Ottoman Empire, and you see the Russia and England in purple. So what this map shows you is the religious influences that each nations were in. Like for example, the main continent of Europe was very much under the influence of Roman Catholic Church. So you see the yellow is very prevalent in the middle continent, and England was just separated themselves from that. They were very much Anglican. So you see them in purple. But the point of this map is to show you um, that the nations or the world was divided by religious differences rather than the individual political nations. These days we see very much refined lines on our maps, and those the lines are the political influences that each nations have. So you will see that Italy is divided, and France, Spain, Portugal, and whatnot. But those are political influences, and it's really hard for us to relate how it was like back in 1600s and 1700s. But basically, everything you did everything that you do was subjected to the Christian, the religious influence. So you see the Catholic world versus Protestant world, you see a Christian world versus Muslim world, and you see the existence of political units in terms of religion rather than political ties. You see the confederations, which were very much Protestants. You see a Holy Roman Empire, which is very much Catholic Church, and you see a Ottoman Empire, who were very much Muslim. And this is another map showing the major European powers in 1700s, and you see that the American colonies are colored in pink, and that's important because pink means that they were under the influence of England, and England had a very special policies when it comes to the colonies. They were very hands-off when it came to the colonies. So when the Puritans moved to the Americas out of religious persecution, they didn't really fear the religious persecution in Americas because the British government's policy was to just leave them alone in Americas and get a lot of the trade and promote immigration to really promote their wealth. So it's very important for us to know that the freedom of religion was very much what on the back of all the minds of the Americans when they moved to the American continent. So earlier this semester, we read a narrative of the captivity and restoration of Mrs. Mary Lowell Anderson, and when reading this work, a lot of the classmates I noticed talks about how she has alternative motives, namely the motives of religion, and that is certainly one of the reasons that she um, wrote this book because she says in the beginning that the reason that she writes is to convert other people and encourage other Christians in their faith in God. But when you see all these references, such as a typology in action, and I might say with a publican, as he did over the hungry lions when Daniel was cast into the den, or a lot of references to the Bible, and he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, or her relating constantly the events that happens around her to the providence of God. You must wonder, is she doing that on purpose, or what motivates her? Why is she doing that? And I think it's very much because she was brought up that way, and the social context that she lived in allowed her to do that. And many people who read her book uh, in back in her days were able to really connect to what she was saying because they were seeing the world in the same lens, one might say. So when Mary Lowell Anderson, when she was in captivity or when she was not in captivity writing the book, she saw the world very much in the context of religion or context of Christianity, and that was really the only option she had because she didn't have any other the options that we do today. We see a world as the individual choices, the capitalistic movement, the communist socialist movement. We have all these other the choices that we can live by, but back in 1600s and 1700s, the life was very limited to a Christian life. So when she writes, it's very natural for her to write in such a way, and it's very important for us to remember that she's writing um, uh, based on her experience, based on what she knows, and much of what she experienced and what she knows is of the religion. And we also read of Plymouth Plantation by William Bradford earlier this semester as well. And the same thing with William Bradford. She references a lot of events to God. All of them are the providence of God. And you see a man struck by disease and dies, and it was contribute to the providence of God. And again, this is very much a lot of it is very much a political and social thing rather than religion as we understand it today, because we tend to separate religion from social and religious influence. But what's really important for us to know is that the religion was very much the part of and very much the foundation of what everyone did. The political, the social, and economical influence that people, the nation had was very much uh, founded by the religion of Christianity. So I wanted to bring this home. I wanted to bring this close to us so we can understand it better. And the only thing or the closest thing that I could think about as to the example was the Cold War, the war between the free world versus the Soviet Union. So in Cold War, we had the two different ideas, the capitalism versus the communism. So you have the America and the European nations, the West European nations, which were promoting the free market, the capitalistic market, the democracy, and you have the Soviet Union promoting the communism, promoting the uh, much of the centralistic government. And people living in 1960s, in the era of Cold War, what they have thought, what they did, what they wrote was very much stemming from what was going around them. So you see the books, very influential books such as Animal Farm, Lord of the Flies, 1984, and so on coming, and all of those are based on what's going on around them, and it's the battle of the ideology that really influences people. And the same thing in the early 1600s and 1700s is the ideas. We see the rise of the Enlightenment ideas with Benjamin Franklin. He writes the autobiography. He writes the Paul Richards Almanac, and it's very much and he freely confesses or talks about how he is more of a deist. He believes in reason over the faith. He believes that the nature can reveal things better than the Bible can, and he talks about how science or the um, the movement of deism or the movement of the Enlightenment very much says that science is more is better in revealing the truth than the religion. So you see the world of ideology at work. So so how does it matter to us? How do we look at the early American literature? So I have a quote here by Miss Dillon. She says, "Geopolitics concerns issues of habitation. It concerns the way in which territory is occupied by a political community, the way in which, for instance, Mary Lowell Anderson and other Puritans inhabited Lancaster, Massachusetts in 1675." So when we read um, the early American literature, we have to keep in mind, or any other American literature for that matter, we have to keep in mind what is at work, what influenced people, and a lot of times the most important thing that influences people is religion. People see their worldview are shaped by religion, how people see things, how people experience things, how people process things are very much involved and very much influenced by religion. So religion is very much a part of an important part of how we understand literature. So how do we look at literature? First, we have to look at the literary work as an extension of social influences. So we have Puritans landing in Americas, and religion is not only a religious institutional thing, but it's very much a social thing. So people gather in groups and they share their ideas, they share their religious views. It's very much a social influence, and we have to keep that in mind when we read the early American literature. We also have to look at the importance of cultural influences. We see Columbus setting his foot on the Americas, and it's very much a cultural influence at work. So especially in Americas, the idea of the the self-made man, the idea of American dream, the idea of religious freedom very much comes from the Christian religion. So we have to really understand religion when we read literatures. So we also have a lot of movements these days, movements such as a non-denominational movement. We see a lot of secular movement, and as such, we have a lot of works that are based on that. And lastly, we have to look at the geopolitics at work. I wanted to really bring this home, and I thought this picture, this drawing would be a good way to bring things home. This is a picture of the Battle of Yorktown, and two major powers, the British and the Americans. Well, the British, France, and Americans fought over to win the independence for American colonists, and this very much shaped a lot of people's lives. This big powers fighting really shaped the lives of people like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, and whatnot. But not only them, but the ordinary people who are living, ordinary people who are writing things, writing books. It very much influenced them, and also so we have to think about the geopolitics at work. And even nowadays we have the terrorism, we have just radical religious fundamentalism at work. So we have to think about all these things when we are reading a literary work. That is for me. This is the worksite page for me. It's a is the work site for religion and geopolitics in the new world. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being with me. If you have any questions, you can post it on the discussions, or you can email me. My email is kimjosh3 at student.gpc.edu. So if you have any questions, I'd love to answer it. I love to discuss it. So please let me know, and I hope you have a great day.